subliminal consciousness of a dead person has stood near. And then you know this the physical part and the mental part. Nowadays in the States, especially in the Western world, there are so lot of dialogues between religion and medicine and science. And one of these is the embryonic research cell, right? And President Bush also talked about that. And it's a political issue as well. And the fascinating thing is, most of the time scientists turn to Buddhism whenever we talk about cloning, embryonic research cell, and then euthanasia, cloning, and all these things. These very critical areas of science. So in embryonic research cell, Buddhist answer is an embryo is alive, right? Embryo is alive. So when the male egg cell or the sperm and the female egg cell or the ovum are cross-fertilized, and that leads to the birth of an embryo. But embryo of the embryonic status during the of the embryo, it has one physical aspect, biological aspect, and also mental aspect. Unless the mental aspect is complete, embryo may continue to grow, but the mother would have had a miscarriage, right? Okay, it's because it has been a miscarriage right at the beginning, from the beginning, or the consciousness has departed the embryo halfway through. So in whichever the situation, it would have been, then it would be a miscarriage. So it is the mental continuum that has entered the mother's womb, the very consciousness of a dead person, that feeds, that becomes the mental part of it. And the physical part is, as you know, it is from the sperm and the ovum, right? So, but nowadays it is no science, but to think 2,500 years back, it was real science. And then, what happens in the mental part? Mental part continues to grow. Mental part, the biological part, and psychological part, they continues to grow. And as the fetus go through development, and we go the fetal developments, I think there are a few stages in, I don't remember the exact number of developmental ages in science, and the exact number of in Buddhism. Anyway, the stages of fetal development in Buddhism is much higher, the number is much greater than those in science. And Buddha has been more detailed. So he said, Taman Kalalan. Kalala means like mud, that's the embryonic stage. And from that point on, our embryo begins to grow. And so that if there is a situation in our life where two karmic cycles coexist, and that's when mother bears a child, right? And because the two karmic cycles are both physical, they are connected both mentally and physically. And that's when Buddhists knew in ancient times, in Buddhists used to have a Gabba Parihara, in case there are prospective mothers and they can practice that. Of course, being Buddhist, you know these Asians. So Gabba Parihara means pregnancy protection. And then whenever somebody is pregnant, other family members are not supposed to think evil thoughts and especially speak evil words. Why? The children get affected, and the embryo, thereby you can threaten, you can impact. Or those words you speak can have a lot of impact on the embryo and the fetus. And so that's why mothers, in case the child, because you don't know for sure whether the child is going to have certain karmic deficiencies, but for sure you can stimulate the good karmas of the embryo of the fetus by, by thinking good thoughts. That's why mothers would always think good thoughts. And the family members and siblings, they are always supposed to speak good words, because the fetus can hear those words. So these are not science right now, but these were real science during the Buddha's time. So this is something extra, and that's what happens. But at the same time, we don't know what kind of karmas we did. Why? Because there's a gap of our memory flow is broken. Our memory flow remains broken during the fetal development. And so that's why as we are in mother's womb, like 7 to 10 months, right? And during that time, and then our memory flow, consciousness, since the consciousness departed the person in his or her previous life, and up until it is reactivated when the child is reborn, and there's a gap. The memory flow remains broken. So that's why mostly we don't recall anything. But if your IQ is so high, if your IQ is very high, and you can utter your rebirth. Okay? So having said that, that's all I could share, and that could be the all major insights into the area of Dharma we have discussed today. I believe that I have given you some fair understanding of Dharma in the area that we have now discussed. Say sadhu.